have decided to do a 24-hour reading challenge, mostly because I have so many books on my TBR that I'm hoping that this will help me get through some of them. For this challenge, I have planned to do 2 12-hour days, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, so we'll see how it goes. I did go ahead and choose some books that I am thinking about reading for this one. Starting out with The Cruel Prince, which is my current read. This is a reread for me, and I don't have much left on it, but I don't think I'll be finished before I start the challenge, so this is going to be my first one. And then I chose 3 books off of my TBR. The first one is Not in My Book, then A Language of Dragons, and This Summer I Turned Pretty. These are the 3 books that I had sort of thought about when I was doing this challenge. However, now that I'm about to do it, I kind of just want to be like a mood reader and just choose randomly as I'm going. Also, do have an arc of Laura Gilmore's Big Bad Wolf that I am like really wanting to start reading, so I may get to this one as well. But my main goal for this is to really get through some books that are on my physical TBR. I'm doing absolutely terrible at this read-a-thon. I started it on Tuesday and it is now currently Thursday. I'm only about like halfway through with the whole 24-hour timer. I did read for about 5-ish hours on Tuesday, but then I ended up having my first ballet class and that took a large part of my afternoon, and then I was really tired after that to read. And then on Wednesday, I again read for about 5-ish hours, but also the new season of America's Sweethearts came out on Netflix, so I ended up spending quite a bit of time watching that. In reality, this isn't really much different than what I would do on a normal week. However, I've already committed to this, so I'm going to see it through. I did end up finishing Not in My Book last night. It was a really fun like academic rivals, enemies to lovers with like this grumpy sunshine opposites attract. I thought the story did a really great job of showing the progression of the relationship between Aiden and Rosie, going from academic rivals and throwing insults at each other, then to becoming co-authors on this book they have to write for their class, and then to friends, and then more than friends. And so I really enjoyed watching how their relationship changed throughout. Their interactions were also really fun and creative and hilarious. And I really did enjoy watching them get to know each other. But the absolute highlight of the story is the way it is written. So after Aiden and Rosie get into this really big argument in their college workshop class, the professor tells them they either have to drop the class or work together to write a book. And so before each chapter in this, you get to see little excerpts from the story that they're writing. And I absolutely loved that because the story they're writing is really based on their relationship. So through these little pieces of writing, you get to see how they actually feel about each other. And I loved it even more because a lot of the things that their characters experienced in the story is things that Aiden and Rosie experienced together. And so you got to see this really cool blending of their lives and their characters' lives. However, I do think the ending of this was a little bit rushed, especially when it came to like the conflict between Aiden and Rosie, and then the resolution of that was really like the last few chapters. And I wish we'd gotten a little bit more about Rosie's decision with the schooling in the end than we got. But this is a really fun romance, and I think it is a really great read if you're fans of like academic rivals to lovers. And then moving on to what I'm reading next, which is A Language of Dragons. I have read for a little bit this morning, and I have already started this, but I'm not too far into it yet. Finally finished my 24-hour like read-a-thon, if you could call it that, because it literally took me the entire week. But I did finish Not in My Book, which I did really enjoy, and then I started A Language of Dragons, and I got about 120 pages in and was just not feeling this one. So I did did not finish this one. I will probably pick it back up at some point just because I really don't like not finishing a book. But for this, I decided to take a pause on it. And instead, I picked up Power Play, which I absolutely devoured. I loved Face Off, and honestly, I kind of liked this one more. Of course, it had the great tropes of being like a hockey romance, a marriage of convenience, grumpy sunshine. but it was so much more than that. I loved getting to see Piper's growth through this and her becoming more confident in herself after what she went through. And then, of course, Liam was absolutely amazing as a book boyfriend. Not only was he extremely patient with her, but he really did everything he could to show her how she should be treated and what she actually deserved. And there were so many great scenes in this one, but I really loved the one where Piper said that she didn't like surprises, so Liam immediately told her where they were going, so that way she wouldn't feel uncomfortable. But this is another really great romance, and even though it is pretty long, it did not feel that way. And I loved getting to see all the characters again. There's some really great friendships in this, and I think this is like a really great series. But overall, for this whole read-a-thon, I did one a couple of years ago, and I did it a lot better than I did this one. And so I thought, since I'm on summer break, I would try again. After doing this, I don't think that I would probably want to do another one, just because it is like really time consuming, and I personally just don't like the whole time challenge for that long of a time. Like, I might do like a challenge of like a 30-minute reading, an hour reading, but I feel like 24 hours is a really, really long time. And for me, it just ends up being tiring. But I did manage to get through 2 books and start another one, which does help my TBR, and that was my whole goal of this. So I am really happy about that.